Remember when common sense was common? When standing up for what is right was the right thing to do? Welcome to The Right Side. Common sense conversations about Hawaii's political landscape and how it affects you, your ohana, and your community. Join us for the next hour as we cut through the political noise and look at Hawaii from the right side, where public officials and community leaders discuss the policies that affect our future, strategies that move the needle, and highlight leaders that are stepping up to make a difference. Get ready for The Right Side, a common sense conversation.
All right, we are live. And I know we haven't been here for like 2 weeks.
I think it's 3.
3 weeks?
I know. People must have missed you.
I don't think so, but we are live at 808-913-6450. So we love to get some calls. I know there are times when we do run this show and no one's here, but we are here live. And, we want to hear from you, 808-913-6450. I'm Augie, that's Malia.
Aloha.
And welcome to The Right Side. It's the city council side or city issue things. And we're going to talk public safety today.
And we talk about all different things, like we tackle the city, the state issues,
right?
All kinds of things. But today, we have an issue that's going to be covering the whole state, plus very much part of our city.
And I guess, when I call him and I need some advice or just, information, he answers the phone, which is really cool. It's hard when, you have a busy lifestyle, or, he plays a very important role, but he picks up every time I call. So I'm very, very appreciative. In the news, we've been hearing about shootings in illegal game rooms, illegal fireworks, they go off like bombs, without regard to any human life. And in the end, ending human life. Get ghost gun being made out of 3D printers without detection and being used in crimes. Fentanyl, we've been hearing a lot about that. Fentanyl overdoses are becoming all too common. These are just a handful of problems in Hawaii law enforcement is tackling. The State Department of Law Enforcement plays a critical role in coordinating statewide public safety efforts, managing specialized law enforcement units, and fostering collaboration across agencies. And today we have the head. Oh, yeah, see, this is good. I like saying the head of a new agency here to talk about the department and what kind of crimes his agency is tackling. Major Mike Lambert, welcome to the show. Malia, would you like to do the formal introduction?
Sure. Major Mike Lambert is the director of the State Department of Law Enforcement, and we are very excited he's on the show because we've wanted to have him on for a while.
Yes.
A distinguished veteran of the Honolulu Police Department, he has 22 years of experience in law enforcement and a proven track record of leadership and community engagement. Mike has served with distinction in the Honolulu Police Department, where he has worked his way up from patrol to several key leadership positions, including narcotics investigations and community outreach, and also the successful HONU program for the homeless. He has earned numerous awards throughout his career. Notably, he's received the prestigious 2018 40 Under 40 honor from the International Association of Chiefs of Police for his leadership and innovation in law enforcement. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on. Thank you, guys. It's always cool to talk and see what people are thinking,
Yeah. No, and the first question, because, everybody know your background in HPD. So, this is a new department, a new agency, and State Department of Law Enforcement. Can you tell us about your department's responsibility?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity because basically it was consolidating a bunch of separate state law enforcement agencies. January 1st, 2024, they brought them together because, it's hard to navigate when you have an issue if there's so many different people that you may have to talk to. So we essentially absorbed everyone except for DoCare, the DLNR guys. So we have state narcotics under us. We have some of the investigators from the AG's office for felony investigations. And then, of course, the 80% of the department is the state sheriff's division. And, of course, we also have the Office of Homeland Security. So that's that kind of the fusion center where we share information nationally and then through local networks. So everybody's kind of aware of kind of what the common threats are. So, it's kind of like smashing together all of these families into one. So, you got some pride things, you got some, kind of fundamental things that make it hard to come together. And I'm trying to kind of patchwork through that. But the biggest thing I want the community to know is that the Department of Law Enforcement is really trying to make a move to kind of be that missing layer that you see in other places in the United States. So, for example, most of the continent, you have small counties, towns, and then you have major city police departments, and then you have the state, right? And they're supposed to be the big dogs, and they're supposed to have a lot of specialty stuff. And unfortunately, until this consolidation, they were just kind of sparse, So I'm really trying to bring them together and really have a meaningful role in law enforcement here in Honolulu and across the state, really.
Well, it is awesome because, we do have a shortages of police officers. We're talking about that. So, having different resources is so important, right? And sharing information.
Absolutely. So, one of the biggest things is that each county is different, right? And because I'm a smaller agency, what I don't want to do is say, this is what the state going to do, and you guys all have to bend around me. We're the smaller guys. We're the support unit. So really what it is that I'm trying to build a relationship with each county chief. And then just try to see, okay, what are your guys' goals, and where do we fit in? In other words, you guys can cherry pick the issues that you guys are prioritizing, and then we'll come in and we'll pick up the slack on the things that, because of the vacancies, are hard to do. Right. So, each island will have a different vibe in regards to what the Department of Law Enforcement does. But the goal is to partner with the county and give the best, feeling of safety for each community across the state.
Oh, that's awesome because, your role as a former Honolulu Police Department officer, helps a lot in understanding, the challenges of each state and as well, the everyday law enforcement officer. So, yeah, kudos to that, man. Thank you for doing that. In previous interviews with local media, Mike, you mentioned creating a network, again, of the law enforcement agency. Can you expound more on that and elaborate on how this is going to work?
Right. So kind of prior to the Department of Law Enforcement and prior to me kind of taking in this role, and thank you to Governor Green for giving me this huge opportunity, is that it was essentially you were the county, and then you went right to the feds. And then because of that, there was nobody kind of coordinating each county. They talked, and there were little overlaps here and there, but there was really nobody that kind of held the glue together for the smaller issues. Because obviously, when you're talking federal investigations, we're talking big deal stuff. Right. But what happens is what happens when it's the little more manini stuff, right? And that's where the state can come in and say, okay, maybe it doesn't hit federal thresholds, but this is affecting multiple counties in the state, so we need to coordinate. We need to help, perhaps it might be a project between Kauai and Maui or whatever, a combination you have. And then we just want to be able to use our resources to make sure that, again, the best outcomes for each county come into play. Kind of now it's sparse, and, there's really none of that kind of umbrella that happens on a regular basis.
Got it. 808-913-6450 if you want to call in and you got a question for I don't know.
Just Mike, have you ever?
Is it director?
It's technically director, but it was funny because one time it said I was a captain, I was an officer. One time I was Honolulu Fire, and I was like, just call me Mike.
I know, but even when people go council member, I go, no, call me Augie. I get, but no. No, now that I know, Director Lambert. If you want to speak to Director Lambert, because
Captain is pretty cool. I mean, but
I pick anyone. It's okay. I answer to anything. I answer to boy at my house.
Oh, there you go.
And the number again is 808-913-6450. You got a question?
Well, I just had a follow-up question because I in the hierarchy of law enforcement in Hawaii, you have the U.S. Attorney, and then you have the Attorney General of the state. And then where are you?
Then so basically what it is each county department, they have their own elected prosecutor. And then the state, we work all our cases through the Attorney General, Ann Lopez, and her team. And then the U.S. Attorney. So exactly in that layer that you talk about, that kind of county, city, state, which we're really trying to build up, in federal, we've kind of been like that, the cream in the Oreo cookie that didn't exist. You just got, 2 cookies, right? And, we definitely trying to fill that in and then, be a little more hardy in regard to the law enforcement layers.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Being like cream.
The cookie, the Oreo. It just made me really hungry.
Well, not but like the best part. I don't know about you, but
that was subtle, right?
Never really eat the cookie. Scrape the cream and go, hey, this burger is good. What's the biggest for you? And, we'll dive into more deeper questions, but making the transition. making it, from, again, you're known for the homeless challenges, and you still are. I saw you in the last meeting with the mayor, but how has it been making the transition?
It's eye-opening. For so many years, I was very Honolulu-centric. I mean, when I go to the capital, when I do anything, I'm fighting for Honolulu. And not to be kind of pilau or anything like that, but it really didn't matter what the other counties got, because that wasn't my goal. So now I got to kind of broaden my horizons. I got to look at, what is important for each county. And then really what I want to do is leverage each county chief, because they can't always fly to Honolulu. But maybe if I can kind of represent the ideas and needs at the state level, that would be ideal.
That is awesome. 808-913-6450 with Director Lambert. Malia and myself will be back with more Right Side, a Common Sense conversation.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to Common Sense Conversations.
808-913-6450. It's Augie. Welcome to The Right Side, a Common Sense conversation. Mike Lambert, Director Mike Lambert is in studio. And if you got a question, please call. We're live. We're live today. And I know sometimes it gets challenging because is that a recorded show? What are they live? We are live. And I know producer wants to pick up the phone and take your calls. I know. You have a question, Malia?
Oh, sure. Well, I thought just because we just passed July 4th, and of course, we have talked a lot about illegal fireworks here, and we've had, who is it? We had a whole show on illegal fireworks with HPD and prosecutors, I think, in the very beginning. But, how frustrated a lot of people are in our district because they have animals or they have PTSD or whatever. And with all this, and then, of course, we had the horrible explosion at New Year's. So I know that's one of the issues you're tackling. I'm sure people are going to be super interested to know, did it work?
Yeah, at first I was a little, because there was so much compliance for 4th of July. And then I kind of got a little stressed out because I was thinking, I said we were going to do all these enforcements, and then I had to catch myself and say, wait a minute, this is what we want. We want compliance. Right. So I had to kind of readjust what my thinking was. But for those that did violate, we were able to give about 20 tickets, and, HPD we gave out dozens of warnings. But really what it was when I gave that briefing to the joint operation between Department of Law Enforcement and Honolulu Police Department, I said, this is preseason, guys, right? Let's go out there. Let's have fun. Let's try to figure out how we're going to, utilize the drones, and because we got to get ready for New Year. So I think there was enough interaction. And I don't know about you guys, but, my parents in Kaneohe said was kind of eerily quiet. Yeah. My fiance out in Kapolei, because, I was working, she said, it's quiet. And that was kind of the vibe of the island.
It's true. Kailua was pretty quiet. We had one explosion. That was it. And it was at 9:30 at night. And it was one of those bombs. And you're like, what an idiot.
I was in Evansville, Indiana, right? And it was the 4th of July. Because, you move throughout, the states in Tennessee, Kentucky. You have big fireworks, but then that massive amount of land where
that's the difference.
They're doing these things, and but I was checking back and forth, making sure, because I am known my district, Ewa Waipahu, to be
Waipahu's crazy. I mean, people throw things off the freeway.
Yeah,
they pull over and throw things off the freeway.
I was told it was pretty quiet.
Well, it was quiet. And our operations center, we're actually in Waipahu. And then I started to get stressed out because, I didn't have any violations. And, I made these big statements. So I actually drove from the police academy in Waipahu. I drove all the way to Aiea.
Yeah.
And in that drive, I only saw 2 aerials go off.
Wow,
right, and that's
Good.
amazing. And then then we tried to track up because we had some tips of some people that previously popped, and there was no rubbish on the streets, nothing. Then I had to drive all the way to Y9, and of course, I found some violators there. But again, that's really what it's about. It's about everybody understanding how dangerous it is, because it's not like when you're young, bottle rockets. I mean, these guys are lighting up 6-inch shells. That was not meant to go off in a residential area.
Right.
And if done incorrectly, we can see how terrible the results are.
Yeah. No. Again, the cool part is that there's so much awareness, and sometimes, and we hate to say it, but sometimes it takes, tragedy before we wake up and go, well, maybe we should be more, mindful of not only, protecting ourselves, but our neighbors, our friends and our family. And, so I thought what you guys did was awesome.
And let's just hope
awareness.
Let's hope it's the same at New Year's, because sometimes New Year's is way worse than July 4th. Like, not everybody celebrates July 4th here.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, protesting or whatever. They don't want it.
And we're totally aware of that. And, it's unfortunate because what we know, it's going to be a domino effect.
Yeah.
Right? So, now, the first guy is going to start going. And if we don't address that quickly, then the next guy is going to go. And then we're going to see what we always see. Right, so we're actually going to be doing a firework buyback event. We're trying to get some of the details. I'll get that to you once we lock in things. But we really want to reward the community for not setting it off. Mm-hmm. And, we're kind of looking at how it would work. But it'd be like $1 a pound. You turn in the aerials, and we'll just go ahead and give you gift cards, just like what we do to the guns, because they're just as lethal.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that until New Year's Eve. So we want to kind of work towards incentivizing the turn-in, because let's just say they don't want to do it and they're saving it for New Year's Eve. If you have even 50 pounds, you could blow up your house. People don't realize that, when it was meant to go up the way it was meant to go up, that's fine. But when it's compressed and it blows sideways, that's when you have those kind of terrible outcomes.
Not only that, but you have other explosives there, right?
Propane tanks, anything.
Sometimes we forget, we have those things in our home that could easily catch on fire. And, there's too much challenges. I thought you guys did an amazing job at just educating the public. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do, right?
Exactly.
As lawmakers, I want people to have fun. I want people to enjoy the moment of celebrating a new year or celebrating July 4th. But it all, comes down to personal responsibility too.
All day.
We cannot stress that enough, and then doing our part to say, look, this is what'll happen if you get caught. So I thought you guys did an amazing job at educating the public, letting them know that we're not going to take this lightly.
Yeah. I love that. It was like the first time we've really had that like strong message, as strong as we've had. We've had the HPD say it before, but then it seems like everybody just ignores it. But somehow this time it was very different. I mean, people were listening, people paid attention, and I definitely think.
And like the director said, they're gearing up. You guys, like you said, hey, go have fun, but be aware, and we know now.
Yeah, no, and it's
we know the test. We know what the real test gonna be.
Yeah, no, and I'm ready for it, man. And it's one of those where I don't find pleasure in making examples, but I know that's what I have to do. Like I have to. I'm gonna have to hit people for a felony. I'm gonna have to bring grandma in because you guys like pop them at her house, right? And I'm gonna have to do these kind of things that people are gonna say, "Wow, that's not helpful." But I'm gonna have to make examples of people until people understand that it's no longer acceptable. And really, what I want to do is I want to challenge the community to change the way we think of New Year's, right? Yeah. Instead of popping fireworks, we have such a rich tradition of music and other things that we can do. Like have a concert on your block, right? You know what I mean? Do these fun things, safe things, bring people together. Why does it gotta be fireworks? It's just change the way we think and have a nice, safe event, right?
I like that. Yeah, and also let's eat some good food.
Yeah, good food, music. And I tell you right now, in lieu of fireworks, I can't speak for everyone, but we'll let the loud band play as long as you know how to sing. If you're not good at karaoke, we might shut you down because that's just a nuisance. But if you're good, we'll let you play.
Right, and there's so many, there's so many opportunities to see the kind of fireworks that you really want to see.
Safe events. The governor wants to actually hearing people to say that, well, we don't have this on our side of the island or part of the island or part of the state, to host firework events so that if that's something that is really important to them, that we can bring it, we can do it with professionals and not have all the hazards that come with amateurs lighting things up.
Right. And we got to, here's the when you understand the process for the average police officer to take away the things that you got to take away, not knowing that they know that they cannot just take the stuff away. It's almost like reporting to go and take a bomb, right?
It's hard. It's hard, and I don't think people understand. Because it doesn't happen when we're there. That's just the nature of the beast. So people are like, you guys only got 20. We actually had to sit there for half an hour because people were doing it erratically this time. Right. Because they pop them, they go run in the house. Right. They look around.
And then you guys have to deal with the people who are lawless, who just no care.
Yeah, they don't care.
Right.
So I think really what the goal is, and I think where we lost a lot of community trust was that when people are like burning fireworks for 30 minutes straight and nobody comes to address that, that's I think where we lost community trust. With these erratic fireworks, I hope people understand that we are sitting there. Like I personally sat in front of a house for half an hour because a drone picked up on it. But I guess the guy just did it as a teaser to see if, what would happen. And then he went back in the house. And we can't sit there all night long because we can see, something out in the distance. So we go and try to chase that.
Right. Yeah, that must be challenging.
It's hard.
Yeah, especially because so one of the problems with prosecuting before was you're blowing the fireworks are blown up.
The definition.
So there's no So did anything happen at the legislature that will help you?
Yeah, so they changed the law, which was huge. So now, because they made it an infraction, the burden of proof or the evidence required is less. So because they made it an infraction, it's very similar to like we see somebody burning out, right? I'm going to go collect the rubber off the street and do these crazy. I saw it. Here's your ticket, right? So same thing. They kind of made it in that traffic infraction kind of evidence, rules of evidence. So now we can say, hey, we saw it go up. It went higher than 12 feet. Here's your ticket.
Yeah, that's the thing that I had to learn and understand. The 12 feet, above 12 feet is just insane, and how, it's so easy to get away with buying those illegal fireworks, lighting them and not getting caught.
Well, it's probably as high as your roof, right?
Right. So like a lot of them fly up way beyond that.
Yeah.
So like on the tickets, we're telling the officers that flew above the light, flew, you know what I mean? Just some kind of reference point.
Right.
And then the most interesting thing is we're glad that we were able to give out 19 tickets, and for various things like the team that I was on, we cited the parent for allowing their child to light. So we have these different variations in the law, and we're going to see how the courts take it.
Got it.
And then we're going to learn from that.
808-913-6450 is the right side. We got Director Mike Lambert in studio today. If you got questions, we like to hear them. 808-913-6450 is the right side. A common sense conversation.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to Common Sense Conversations.
808-913-6450 is the right side. I'm Augie, that's Malia, and today we have Director Mike Lambert. And we're talking about his new role in the state and how he's helping all the county, all the chiefs, so that we can have a more collaborative way of, fighting crime in our beautiful state. And I got to tell you guys, we see all the challenges, but we still live in one of the most safest states in the United States. So, we got to be proud about that, and it's challenging everywhere. And I know I can see Malia wanting to ask a question. Go ahead, Malia. You can do
I know we are the safest, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But we hear in the news, and I'm sure part of it is the news, but, because we always talk about whatever bleeds leads and all that stuff. Whatever's on fire, it's in the news.
Right.
But we often hear about the West Side having a lot of issues in terms of shootings or fires or illegal fireworks or
game rooms,
fights, it just seems like, I'm sure it's not every day, but it seems like it's every day.
Sure.
Yeah, it's terrible out there. And, even when I was still with Honolulu Police Department, my heart went out to them because the community wants change.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good people out there. And I can tell you this, I've gone to meetings everywhere across the island, and the hospitality when I go out to Nanakuli, Waianae, is above, right? And what makes it even more special is that, not necessarily are there a lot of affluent people out there, but, they're good people and they're generous and they're caring. So it's just such a sad thing that's going on out there that, whatever percentage it is of their community is really just making everybody look bad and really creating some unsafe conditions. So, I've been trying to work with that community, council member, kind of pairing with Councilmember Tupola and everybody out there and the community leaders, the church groups, you name it. And some of the challenges that we have is that they're afraid, and maybe there's some trust issues with law enforcement. But I think that we've been slowly growing. I can personally say that now I receive tips from the community, and that's how we try to stay ahead of things out there. But the biggest thing that, when I look at it is like, they're 16 to 21, most of the offenders with the firearms and whatnot. And then it's kind of like we failed them, and I'm not trying to give them a pass for the harm they cause. But then you got to ask yourself, and everybody's thinking it is, where's the parents?
Right.
Where's the parents? Where's the that type of thing, because they're getting mad at us and they're saying, oh, how did my son get the gun? It's like, you tell me.
Right.
That's the same question I had for you, because I can't go into their room.
Yeah.
You can.
And a lot of it is generational too.
It's sad.
Right?
It's sad. They've been
It's
kind
a
of
vicious circle.
Yeah, their parents went in and out of jail. Maybe
Right.
there's some addiction. So some of the things that are happening, we as a community have to help them. They want the help, but you can't undo what probably took 40 years to create in a short period of time.
Right.
So you got to be committed to the plan. You got to understand that faith-based helps. You got to understand that cultural methods help, and then Western methods help. And really, you just got to throw everything in there, right? And then just see what clicks for people.
Right.
And of course, it's the cost of living and all these other things. But at the end of the day, it's saying, I'm not going to allow my kid. I went in and out of jail. That's not what I want for my kids. But for some reason, out on the West Side, it's very prevalent that they kind of have this romance with the gangster culture. And it's really tearing them apart.
Yeah.
And just growing up here, like, of course, I grew up in Kailua, so it was like I felt very different. Than the
scary
West
over
Side.
there.
Not scary. That's my point. But on the West Side, like, just like you're talking about gangster culture, like growing up, that was like where, you'd hear all these stories about people getting killed or buried alive, or like the old gangster kind of things going on out there, right?
Right, and a lot of them, unfortunately, they carry those generational names, and they think it's like their mission to keep that in that negative light.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, that's I'm gonna be very optimistic, because as a first-time lawmaker, that's why it's so important for me to talk about diversifying the economy, with the film studio, because, a lot of the kids, including mine, that went to YNI, they're very creative. You got to find, what is it, right? All those little things. All those little things that we got to throw things on the wall where it sticks, and they go, okay, we got some victories. And when you see the victories, man, a lot of them really take pride in that. How many great, maybe young filmmakers we lost because we never push in building a film studio and really working hard at the creative arts on that side. We see amazing people come out of there, and yet, we're still challenged by that. So, we have to do our very best, and at the same time, we all got to take responsibility and stop believing into the stereotype.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to create opportunities for these kids. And, some of the things that I'm trying to push for and try to see if I can find money for is can the state or the DLE or through philanthropy work, can we sponsor kids to play flag football, play soccer? Because some of the hindrances is the fees and whatnot. And then, of course, even the snacks can be, if you're on a very tight budget, providing all these things for your kids, maybe not something you can do. And I think as government, and I think from those that can give, if we can just give those kids an opportunity, because really that's where they're getting caught up, right? They know nothing to do after school. These bad influences say, hey, come hang out with us, right? And then just like every other cliche gang movie, that's where they learn love.
Correct.
Right? And, they get used, and then, the cycle perpetuates.
No, I always tell people, like, look, my older brother was a career criminal. My brother below me, was one of the early casualties of ICE, shot himself. We lived in the same house. We heard the same message from my mom and dad. It was just, we took different roads in life.
And I can tell you right now, it was probably the friends they chose.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, because I could have easily gone that way. The stat tells me that Augie should have been dead. Augie should have been in jail. And Augie should have been homeless. But, so, again, it's choices in life.
Yes.
And sometimes the tougher road is the right road. And I know, I'm be very optimistic. I go, plan after this, I tell you. Because if I tell them, I'm like, nobody steal them, man.
There you go. There you go.
This is radio. It's like, hey, and jump ahead of me. But like, I think it's a great plan. It's part of, finding young juveniles, right? And helping them through, sports, also mentoring. Also,
or technology, anything.
Getting them on job when they feel like they earn. Like, one of the things that I'm so thankful that I was poor, because when I learned how to make money selling paper, I was like, whoa. I felt independent at an early age, and And then being in sports really helped, mentor me the right way. People watching over me, but I get out of.
No.
Yeah. I'll talk to you after that. All right. I know. We winding down on this break, and then we finishing up on the last break. But
we did want to know what the top 3 challenges are, but we can talk about that.
No. We can do it right now. How much minutes we got, producer? We got 4 minutes. All right. What are the top 3 challenges your department is addressing right now in Hawaii? And could you provide some background to each of them, Director?
So probably the top 3 things that we are dealing with right now, based on the priorities we set, is fireworks, and then firearms, so gun violence. And then, although it doesn't seem like a natural connection, we are trying to help with the homeless and mental health crisis,
right.
And trying to make sure that our agency is cooperating with the county so that people have opportunity.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's a
huge issue in our island, at least. Yeah, with the homeless and just the drugs and
a lot of people say like
illness.
that's not a law enforcement issue. And when I was part of the academy, I used to tell guys, is addressing homelessness police work? And then, yes, no. And I said, you guys both correct. Because no, it's not in the sense of being homeless is not a crime. But yes, in the sense of it's a community issue. And a police officer, whether you're sheriff, whatever, is there to help the community.
Correct.
And right now, the biggest plague or whatever you want to call it that's hurting society and safety in Honolulu is the mental health issues and the homelessness. And we don't want to discard them and treat them poorly. But we definitely want to give them options. But we got to hold them accountable, because it's not cool that, I can't send my kids to the library or play in the park. That's not appropriate. That's not cool.
That's
not only that, but when you're in a store and because none of the employees going to stop somebody from stealing, and you're an everyday customer, you come in and you paying the exact same thing everybody else is paying, and knowing that this person is just going to walk out, nothing will get done. It does affect the everyday person. And, for the average police officer to spend 45 minutes with somebody with a mental health issue when they could be fighting crime, and it could be, deterring criminal activity, but we got to deal with, somebody that has mental health issues.
Right. And we just want to know enough to get them to a clinician.
Correct.
So, the goal is not for us to be therapists or whatever.
Right.
It's just to say, hey, you know what, Augie, look like you're having a bad day. Let me call your caseworker, because, and having that ability versus just like shoo off and then, you're just going to get into it down the street because you're not any better. I just moved you away from this problem or this area to go move to someone else's area.
No, the knowledge you bring in that we have a homeless group at the city county. So much knowledge. I've learned so much in what we're trying to do with Win Back Waipahu that I can't wait till we get on respite in Waipahu and core services, and really a lot more churches, nonprofits, and small businesses getting involved, because when we take back our community the right way, man, it's so powerful.
And it is a community solution, absolutely. If it has this NIMBY and all this other stuff, and people lose sight of that we're trying to help, that's when we kind of have delays.
For all the NIMBY people, sorry, we are in the backyard already. Take a deep breath and be part of the solution. 808-913-6450, 808-913-6450. Director Mike Lambert hanging out with us. We'll wrap things up in our next break. It's I was going to say it's Mornings with Augie. I came this close to say Mornings.
Except that you did say it.
It's the right side of common sense conversation.
Because that's his studio right there in the morning.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to common sense conversation.
808-913-6450. This is our last break with Director Mike Lambert talking law enforcement today. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Next week, what do we have, Malia?
I think it's going to be an interesting show if you are a veteran.
Okay.
If you are suffering from any kind of PSD, what is it?
PTSD.
PTSD. If you have any kind of issues like that, because we're going to have them come on and talk about the people they've helped. U.S. vets.
Oh, nice.
And they have really amazing stories about people they've helped from homelessness, of people who have got in prison. They've helped bring them back to the original person that they were, or maybe not the original person, but they've helped bring them out of the tragedies that they faced and be able to deal with their issues.
Yeah.
And they're such a great group.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed getting to know
And one
more.
of the very first places we put up a kauhale was on a U.S. Vet's property. So, yeah. Good.
We're going to talk with them next
Good
week.
conversation. I already met with them earlier last week, and they're doing great things. And we're going to find out more on what, they can do and how you can help. And kid director, we'll wrap this thing up. But
right.
I know Malia had a question about looking ahead. And this is a great way. Like, if you're a young student and you're listening in a car because you're forced to sit in the car with your mom and dad listening to hip radio, talk radio, you've grown up. But, this is another way to, getting connected and getting a good paying job and learning about what your skills can bring to law enforcement, right?
Right. So looking ahead in the next 10 years, I guess, what are your biggest issues? And then you think are going to be your biggest issues? And then also maybe what kind of people are you looking for to help you tackle them?
Right. So I think the biggest issue that we're going to have to overcome in the next 10 years is people wanting to be interested in law enforcement. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create non-traditional pathways, because not everybody wants to carry a gun and badge, but they may want to help public safety. So I'm trying to create what I'm going to call a technology enforcement officer. So you don't have a gun and badge, but technically you are able to testify in court, utilize tech. You may be a drone pilot flying over a tactical team. And it was kind of cool because I was at Honolulu High School with their leadership. They had a leadership camp, and I was able to talk. And, of course, I always try to give the traditional pitch, serve your community, get a gun and badge. And I'm pretty sure they were playing on their Instagram. And then when I kind of moved into having drone pilots and technology, they actually started to put their stuff down and really be engaged. So I can kind of see that as that being the future for law enforcement, is that we're gonna have to embrace the non-traditional roles in law enforcement and be very tech heavy. So I want to create those pathways, and then who knows? Maybe they start off in a tech job, and then because they're watching the monitors, they're watching the drones, that they say, you know what? I want to put on that gun and I want to get out there and serve, and that's what I'm really hoping to change is that interest in law enforcement. And the type of person that I'm looking for really is someone who cares. People ask me, what does it take to be a good officer and all this? Of course you have to have some reasonable amount of intelligence. But really, you just have to care more than everybody else. And I tell people this all the time. I say that if you just care more than everyone else, you'll probably be a good officer.
Yeah.
Do you have to pass a fitness test? Like, how many pull-ups do you have to do? That kind of stuff.
You know why she's asking that question, right? She's trying
Augie's going to try it.
I have 3 years and 5 months left in my term.
Do it.
And at 60, I'll be the most...
He keeps wondering what he's going to do after this. So, okay, how many pull-ups does Augie have to do?
So luckily there's no pull-ups, but it's like 30 sit-ups, 30 push-ups, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's easy.
Easy.
And then we do the mile half, but I'm not a good runner, so downhill.
Okay, so look, if you really are interested in becoming a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, law.hawaii.gov is our website. We unfortunately just closed out in enrollment period, but... if you go on our website, you can put in an interest card, and then when we do enrollment, we will reach out to you, and then you can apply.
Awesome. Some final thoughts. Anything you want to, that we miss, that you might want to share, because I feel like, man, this all went by pretty quick. We tackled, gun, fireworks, game rooms,
drones,
recruitment. So,
what do you have to do to get a job there? How many pull-ups and push-ups? How many miles do you have to run? Does it count when you do a push-up if your stomach is already down there?
It depends if you're ergonomically, shaped, but
does that help you?
We do count. You got to have a little bit of clearance.
Yeah. Maybe you can do the seesaw. Yeah. My core is pretty solid.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah. Like I said, just be brave and care. We'll work it. We'll figure out.
And there's a lot of great people here. And you see it. I love looking at the HPD's social media. You see a lot of young recruits, and I hope that you stay focused because what you're doing is valuable. And I honor. The men and women in blue and law enforcement, first responders, all of that. Because, when I was growing up in public housing, if it wasn't for the Police Activities League and people having an interest and really, focus on helping that kid. That's why, man, when I got to hear about kids paying monthly, I could pay $1. I got my wraps. I got a jump rope.
You mean for food or what?
No. For joining the program,
joining
playing
the
the
programs.
sports.
Right.
When you're talking about
It should be
engaging,
free. It should be free if you come from a low AMI family. And it's not something that, because the parents are already so busy. To me, it has to be the schools. It has to be these other groups that are saying, hey, what are you doing this afternoon?
Right.
We have a program for, we can cover your sports costs.
Right.
And
But
give people opportunities.
The fact that you had police officers that you saw in uniform on some days and was wearing everyday clothing out, like supervising, helping, made a big difference. You never saw them as like, they're the mean guys. You just saw them like, as uncle.
Yeah, and I think somehow we got away from that. Definitely we need to get back to kind of the more grassroots approach to law enforcement. We got to get back to where people know our name. And the biggest thing that we need the community to do is you guys got to give us a little bit of grace, where we're tackling all these issues at once. We're not perfect. And the reality is that when we're divided, that's when the criminals take advantage, because if you guys don't trust us or you guys are mad at us, we fall apart.
Right.
So really, it's one of those things where we're not perfect. The law enforcement community is not perfect, but we got to know that the community wants this. The community is going to trust us with their tips, and the community is going to give us some grace when we fall short.
Right.
So do you have a tip line?
Yeah. So it's on our website, law.hawaii.gov. Okay. And actually, we have a bunch of stuff for ag crimes, for gun crimes. We try to kind of dice it up because there's so many different issues. And then what will happen is it'll go into our system, and it'll be assigned to a detective. And then we go ahead and follow up with that. So the biggest things are fireworks, firearms, and then now we have the ag line.
Right. Well, Mike, anytime you want to come back, maybe some hot issue come about, get a hold of Malia. We'd love to have you back. Always a great time talking story with you. And then we're going to get off right now, and I'm going to tell you my plan.
Oh, my goodness.
Sounds good.
All right, so next week, you guys, U.S. vets. We'll talk veteran affairs and ways we can help our men and women who served in the military, and how we can make sure that we house them and get them the necessary tools and equipment they need to, have a fulfilling life.
And the mental health treatment. And we're talking about all these things about homelessness, and that's, a lot of times they're vets or sometimes they're vets. So really addressing that. I think maybe that's a new partner for you.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, you can watch us online, guys. I'll let you know, Malia will have this up in the next couple of days. Go on YouTube and watch all the episodes. We got some great episodes on bullying, on homelessness, and some really cool, discussions, and where we're talking solutions. So please, if you get the chance, go on YouTube, go check it out. Again, thank you guys for listening, and this is The Right Side, a common sense conversation. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.